Hello and welcome to sp24. Before I continue with my session today, I'd like to thank sp24 for providing me this opportunity to be as a speaker and be in front of you all. My session is about easy steps to surface and present your information using the new SharePoint 2013 search. Before I continue, just a brief introduction about myself. I am Omer Zubair. I'm a SharePoint consultant at CSC Canberra. I'm a Microsoft Certified Developer. My contact details are just on the screen at the moment. Please feel free to shoot me an email should you have any questions. Alright, let's get started.
Well, I can tell you there are lots of different moving parts which I will be discussing in this particular presentation with some examples. But before I continue, I'd like to show you my publishing site which I will be using in this demo. And I'll also show you some of the publishing features. Publishing itself is a topic quite elaborate, and we could discuss it another day. But I'll certainly be showing you what are my site columns, what are my content types, what are my page layouts, and what are my lists. Well, there are two different site collections which I'll be focusing on. The first site collection is got a root site collection called Portal, and it's got three sub-sites to it, namely audio, video, and questions. And the second site collection is nothing but enterprise search in it, and we'll be touching base on that soon. Before I continue on with the demo, I'll also explain an example of what's in my site, one site, and the rest of the site is basically a rubber stamp of that, and they've got similar lists in them. The list which I'm using in this demo is the pages library, which contains all my HTML pages with their page layouts and the content types. The second list is the document library, and the third one is the things to do, which is a type of a task. The pages library is using a content type which I have defined, item audio. I'll be showing you the site column just in a minute when I go to my site, and it is using two page layouts. One is the PL audio player.html, and the other one is PL audio player _nopic.html. The second list which I explained was the document library, which contains all sorts of different documents, and it is using content type of item doc audio. And the last one obviously is using content type called task. So let's have a look at the sites which I am using. You can see over here, these are the two site collections. One is the search and one is the site portal. When I go onto the site portal, this is what I get. It's nothing but just a sample front page, and it's got its navigation on the left hand side, and I can show you the sub-site by going on that gear icon and site contents. And down below you can see there's audio site, question subsite, and the video subsite. Audio and video is quite similar. They are publishing site, but the question site is a community site. This is how the audio site looks like, and that's where mainly I'll be focusing on. This is my video site, which has got the same list and library behind the scenes, but there is no front page I've defined so far. And this is my question site, which is a community site, and it's got all of my blogs and news feed and extra stuff which come in the community site options. Now let's have a look at the content types I am using and what are the site columns I've defined in them. So when we do some search and stuff, you understand the context of it. So let's have a look at the content types. Have a look at item base. Item base is nothing but set of columns which are inherited from the page content type. It's out of the box content type. And I've defined extra columns in the item base. So as you can see from the right hand side, I've got the document items, all of these out of the box columns which are coming through. But the extra column I've defined is the brand, item description, features, notes, the price of the item, when was it released, what is the color, and one to note over here is item on special, which is just nothing but yes and no column. And then what I've done is I've inherited two content types from the item base. This is really good practice because in future, if I have to inject any new column into either one of them, item audio or item video, I can just insert it in base and it will trickle through into these both content types. So let's have a look at the item audio. Item audio is nothing but whatever is coming from the item base column, item base content type. And I haven't added in, but I can choose to have separate content types or separate side columns in the audio, which differentiates from the item video content type. Now what I'm assuming in item audio or whatever I'm storing in the pages library of the audio audio sub-site is I'm storing also different things which belong to an audio. For example, a speaker or MP3 players or anything to do with audio sits under the audio. That's how I have organized them. And anything to do with video, for example, the DVD players or the DVD portable players or the car players, they all live in the video subsite in the pages library. I'd still like to show you one of the pages library, and I'll also create one page for the reference, and we understand how we are organizing our pages in our pages library. So let's have a look at the site contents of the subsite called audio, and I'll go into my pages library. Now, as you can see, there's already some content living in here in the pages library, and I've added lots of different things like Apple iPod mini and B&W speakers and B&W black color, and then I've got Bose stuff and then some Sony products in there. And if you notice clearly, they are using different sorts of page layouts in front of them. For example, a CM White, a B&W CM White is using audio player, whereas B&W P1D is using an IPL audio player, but no pick. I'll tell you what I've done over here, and I'd like to also show you what are the different page layouts I'm using and what is the difference in between them. So to do that, I'm going to go to my SharePoint designer, and I will ask it to show me all files sitting on the server, and then it's showing me all these sub-sites, but I'm interested in my page layouts, which are living in underscore catalog master page library. And if you look closely, there is one PL audio player HTML and one PL audio player underscore no pick HTML. So this is nothing but just simple HTML pages which I've weaved through using normal HTML, and it has created an ASPX pages. As I said, publishing itself is a topic which can be discussed later in elaboration, but I'll show you what's in them. So if I edit this file, you can see there's some scripts, and here is the main stuff which I have edited. And it's nothing but showing you what are my details, what are the content type fields, what is the color I want to display. Now obviously this is not making much sense because this is in HTML. I'll show you a rendered version of this HTML. So to do that, I'll go back to my pages library in the audio site, and I will open these two in two separate pages. So as you can see, probably it's not a good example. I'll pick another one because there's no picture I've added in. See, so as you can see, this is a HTML page in which I have entered what is the brand, what is the picture, what is the details of that particular product, and what are the metadata like when it was released, what was the color, and what's the price. So this is the page layout which I just showed you with a picture. And what I've done is I have created another one with no picture, which means that it doesn't allow the user to add to the picture. Now, this is just an example, but how you can make use of this page layouts is by simply differentiating the way things look according to how you categorize them. For example, in a speaker is a different entity or different type of an audio than an MP3 player. So what you could possibly show is in speakers you can hide the details and you just want to show different features of the, or probably different pictures of a speaker. Whereas in an MP3 player, people are more interested to find out what are the features of that MP3 player rather than only the pictures, because many people aren't interested in the picture in MP3 player. They're more interested in the feature. You can still have a picture, but you can highlight this feature and have this features area right bang in the middle, and you can just basically customize the look and feel according to what product that is. And when a user comes and creates a page, they have a choice on how they would like to display that particular type. Now, one thing to note over here is the underlying content type is still item audio. We don't have separate content types for different types of audio items. Like a speaker is also an item audio content type, and an MP3 player is also content type item audio. However, they can have a different way of displaying their information back to the user. And this will be highly effective for us while we are creating our search, and this organization right in the beginning will assist you in your creation of the site search. All right, so that's pretty much it I want to show you in the publishing area and how I weaved in my publishing site. I'll just show you one simple example of creating a brand new file or a brand new item in my pages library of the item audio site, and then we'll continue with our search. So let's create a new document, and I'll name it as, let's say, Apple iPhone 6 is coming, so I will just say that. And I would like to show a picture with this particular one. So as you can see in the brackets, it's telling you what sort of a content type it is using. And after that, it is showing you the page layout name. Now I've selected PL audio player, which means it will show, will give you an option to add a picture. I click create, and it's put that new page back into the pages library. I'll click on that, and as you can see, currently there is no data attached to it. So I will go in edit mode and start selecting my data for that particular item I have just entered. Now this brand site column is of coming from my term store, and it's called pre-populated, all different sorts of brands in there. So I can select that brand which I'm interested in. I'll click OK. I'll add the description that this is a new phone upcoming from Apple. Now it's asking what sort of image you would like to add. When I click on it, I can select it from my computer or from the site. This is the site I already have. These are the images I already have in my site. So I'll just select one from here. You could choose to add stuff in there and then basically add more pictures. So I've just selected one which already exists. I click OK, and you can see this is not the right proportion or right size of the image I'll be using since it's an example. Therefore, I'll just ignore that part for now. I'll select the item release date, and I think it's coming in end April probably. I'll select the color, and again, this is my metadata field, and the color is close to blue in this picture. And then generally these phones are really expensive, so let's put a rough figure of 900. Let's add some features. That's got a f2.8 camera, which means it's really good at low light. It's got HD screen, etc. You can choose to add further information in it. For now, this should be enough, because more data you add, it will be better for our search. So I'll say save, and then I will check this page in, because if I don't check it in and publish it, it will not come up in our search. So, and then I'll say publish. Now you can see this page has been added, and if I go into my site contents and pages library, that's the page which I just added, and it's showing you the page layouts. Is that item on special? I've set it to no because obviously it's a brand new stuff. And these are the prices of it. So now let's have a look at the next topic, which is, or the first topic of our 2013 search, which is the result sources. Result sources is the heart of SharePoint 2013 search. It allows you to build search verticals, and it can be defined at various levels. For example, it can be defined at a site level, or it can be defined at a site collection level, or it can be defined at the whole application level. Now that's a bit different from the sources which was defined in SharePoint 2010, and it is very flexible and can be done at a very rapid pace. So let's have a look at how to define a result source. This is my Office 365 implementation, but SharePoint on-prem will be very similar to it. Let me first of all introduce you where you can go about and create your search verticals. The first one which I'll show you will be at the site level, and I'll be going back into my audio site and basically going in site settings. And in site settings, I will go under the search area, and underneath it I can see result sources. So let's click on that, and you can see it is bringing back a lot of search sources already defined. Some are provided by SharePoint out of the box, which is underneath this heading, provided by SharePoint, and rest of them are provided by tenant, or I have created them at application level. So that's why they just trickle through here. So you can define your search result source over here at site level, or you could choose to go up to the portal site, which is my root, and I'll go and search settings, sorry, back, site settings. Again, very similar as we've got result sources here, and the other area is at site application level. And over here you can select on search and say manage result sources over here. I usually try and keep it all at one location, but it's quite flexible, and you can also export these settings later down the track. So it depends on what your usage is. What I've done is I've already defined a result source in my at application level, and I'm asking it to filter all my results at the audio site level or my results at the video or questions. So I already defined all those things, and I'll show you how easy it is to create a brand new search. And it is so granular that you can ask the search to bring back not just your site level, but you can also define it to go to a library level or you can choose it to go to a particular property level. So I know it's not making much sense, but I'll show you how easy it is. I'll edit this, my result source, all audio, and as you can see, all it is doing is it's going to my audio site and fetching every result to it. How I have done that? It's pretty simple. So you see the query transform. In the query transform, it's called a query builder, and SharePoint has provided us that. When you click on it, it'll bring that query builder in front of us, and it's got lots of options over here. So in the options under the property filter, that's where I'm interested in. I will say I would like to show all managed properties, and I'll say get me site. Which should be down here. And this is basically bringing back all of my site columns and all other managed properties basically. So I'm saying get me the site and equals a manual value. You can see here. And I'll populate this manual value text box and click on the add property filter, which is this button. So when I do that, I get to this in this query text box, and I can choose to test this particular query. And on the right hand side, it is showing me the results it's bringing back from the query I've just defined. And that's exactly what I want. I want only stuff coming from the audio site. Pretty easy, huh? What you can do in addition to that is, let's say you want to only limit to a particular brand of your audio site. You just want Sony products. So all you have to do is select that particular managed property, which is, in our case, is item brand. I think it will be OWS item brand because it's a taxonomy site, like that, as you can see here. And then in the manual value text box, again, we will say Sony, and I'll say add property filter, and you can see it's basically added that in that text box. And when you run with it, it should bring, oops, let me see. There you go. So what I've asked you to do is fetch me Sony brand only from the site audio. So let's have a look at the results over here. You can see it's only bringing back us the Sony products, whether it's a subwoofer or a headphone or MP3 player, etc. Pretty easy. That's our result sources for SharePoint. Now what you can do, the next step which you can do from here is, you can go back to your audio site and I'll just navigate there by going to site contents and take me to audio. And I wish to put a face to that particular result source. So let me go into my pages library again, and I will create a brand new page. This time around it will be just a welcome page with 2 columns. That is, I'll have the web parts on it. Last time we selected item audio because we were adding a type of an item audio, but this time we just want a welcome page type, which means that I just need an area to add my particular web parts which I'm interested in, which is the search web parts. So I'll say search test all. So I'll say create, and now it's created that page for us with nothing in it. And I'm going to edit this page and add a new search web part. Search results, say add, and obviously it can't bring anything back because I haven't defined where to fetch your search results. I'll say edit this web part, and look at that. On the right hand side you can see the criteria. It's asking for a criteria. I'll say change query over here. It has launched query builder, very similar to what saw over there. And instead of basically complexing all those things over here, all I have to do is in the select a query section, say get me all audio, which we just defined. Get me all audio result source. Select that, and I can choose to add more things here, but I'm currently happy with all the audio results coming in, whether be from the pages library or whether be from my documents library. So click OK, and click OK again over here. All right, now in addition to adding this web part, I'll also add another search web part, which is the search box on the top, which will help us search. And I will also add a refiner web part on the left hand side, so I can refine my results. So once I've done that, I'll just check in and publish this draft so that other users can use it. Now you see how easy it was to put a front end to your result source, and it's bringing back all of my audio stuff in it. Now the next thing I want to see over here is that it's not very interesting. Like it's showing me only textual stuff, and I understand it gives you that flyover, hover panel and whatnot. This is where the SharePoint 13 shines, but I really would like to get some better understanding of what my results are by just looking at it. Well, that's not a problem, because I'll move on to my next part, which is called display templates. Now, display templates is basically nothing but just an area where SharePoint has provided you to add your code in simple HTML. And you can define that on how a particular item looks like, and then you can use that to display it in a particular web part. So it's at a granular level. Now, there are lots of different display templates, but I will be only showing you the one which fits into our storyline, and which is to show, instead of this textual information, I would like to see this a more graphical look and feel of my search results coming back. All right. In order to access the display templates, there are two ways about it. I will be using the SharePoint Designer, but the other way to look at it, you can simply go on the gear icon on the top right and say Design Manager. Design Manager is a 2013 feature as well, which enables you to look at the master pages or the display templates or the page layouts right from here, and you can choose to edit them and get information using the snippet provided. So I won't go into much of that detail, but I will focus on the display templates, and I will be using my SharePoint Designer to navigate to the display templates. So this is my SharePoint Designer, which is connected to my sites. I'll click on All Files on the left-hand side, and then click on Catalogs, Master Page, and over here you can see Display Templates folder. And now display, as I said, there are lots of different display templates. I'll focus on the search display template, and there are lots of them over here for the hover panel, for the item, for what I've done is I've just copied and pasted one of the display templates and started editing that. I've already added that in my system, and I'll show you what I've done. So this is the one which I edited and named it at item web page portal.html. So I'll open this one up, say edit file in advanced mode, and I'll show you the only important bits where you need to focus on to get a very basic display template out there. And it is that easy and fast, as I will show you in this demo. You can get into more complex ones, and just basically go on with what the requirements are. But to get a basic display template is quite easy. What you have to do first of all is just think ahead and think about all of the managed properties which you are interested in, where the data is coming from. For example, in our case, I'm interested in what is the item picture like. I'm interested in what is the item price, what is the item name, and all these things. So in order to get that, all I have to do is say in that MSO managed property, which you can see over here, I'm getting get me title, and I'll move the screen on the right hand side. I'm getting all these managed properties, and there should be some in which I'm getting the item picture over here like that, item picture, and then next to it it's item picture O1 OWS URL. Hey, this is the managed property name, and this is item picture O1 is something which I'm referring to. Similarly, I'm interested in item description and item is the item on special. Remember the property which I asked you to keep an eye on. So I'm getting item on special of that Boolean variable, and also the price of it. So this is where I ask or tell my display template where to fetch the values from. After that, I'm fetching those values and putting them in some variable using this JavaScript. For example, what is my item title, picture, what is the item price, what is the description, is the item on special or not. The rest is commented out. I'll come back to that in a minute. And after that, it's just very simple HTML, which we see, and I'm sure we all at some stage would have seen HTML to work, and must have written some HTML stuff as well. So all it is very simple HTML saying div start with a div, and it's some styles, what's the width and the maximum length, maximum width and maximum height, what's the padding. There's some styling factors in there. And then underneath it, we've got another div, which got nothing but just one image in it. So the values of the image is coming from the managed property, which we requested one above. And we're setting the source of that item using this managed property item pick 01. Next to it, I've got another div, which is this one. And in this div, I am listing down what is the title, what is the item price, and item description. That's all. So I've already defined all those things to you just to save a little bit of time, but honestly, it's that easy as going into this search folder I showed you, copy any one of them and start adding this HTML in the provided area, remove what they had, and just surface all your managed properties up there and start using them. Let's have a look how this looks like, or how we can plug this into our search results, which we were looking at in that web part. So let's go back here, edit this page, and in this page, I'm going to instruct this web part, the search results web part over here, and ask it to use the display template which I just created. All right. Now you can see there are two radio buttons underneath the display template. One is use result types, which is our next topic. I'll come back. And this is use a single template to display the items. Right? So it's provided a drop down. In this drop down, I will select the display template which we just created, or the one which you just saw, which is web page portal site item. I'll click OK. And I will save it. And I would more worry about checking in for now. Now you can see it's bringing back our picture of that item, the title, and the price underneath it over here is for $150, and the description of it. But hey, what is this? It's bringing me ELM sync user guide where and price is 0. What is this coming from? Can you guess? Well, yes, I'm sure most of you would have guessed by now. This item, and you remember all this information is coming from all audio, which means it contains the results from the pages library and the document library. So this information is coming from the document library, and it's not very useful to apply that particular display template across the board, because in your results, you will get different types of results. And that's where our result types comes in. And the SharePoint 2013 result types is a great way to target a particular type of your result, as the name says. So I'm sure you've got the hang of what a display template is. Now I will go back and introduce you what are the result types. All right. So result types, I'll basically go, I need to go into the search settings. And now, again, underneath the search in this site level, and underneath the result sources, there is a thing called result types. Click on that. And now you can see over here that in the result types provided by search service is the heading, and underneath it, it is saying that the result type of person will be using these properties. Result types of Microsoft Access object will be using these things or these display templates. Excel, OneNote, they already have separated what are the different types available whether it's an image, PDF, or text, or a video, XML, a zip file. This type of granularity or different types was not possible in the previous version of the SharePoint, and everything was kind of quite boring unless you basically modified the XSLTs in there, and that was quite eye-watering, I must say. I didn't used to enjoy doing that, but watch how easy it is on putting up a face to a particular type only of a result. And in this case, or in this example, I am interested in apply the display template to only of the results where item type is of content type item audio. I'll say that again. I know it's lots of words. Let's go back to our content type slide up here. And what are we interested in? We are interested in, I'll say it again, only fetch or only apply the display template which we just defined with those HTML, with picture and all that, to the types which are of type content type. So it should only apply to item mode. We're not interested in the price of a document. We're not interested in the price of a task because they don't exist. So there obviously will be zero and clutter us. So we are only interested to apply that display template on this item audio. Reason I'm stressing on is because we need to understand why are we doing this. So let's go back into the result types, and I've already defined that for to save a little bit of time. And it's quite easy. Just a new result type. You'll get the same screen which I'm going to get now. So I'm going to edit this, predefined audio pages. I've given this name as audio pages. And this is an interesting part. Now it's asking which source should it apply to. In our case, you remember we are only working on all audio. What this means is that every result source will have all of it different types there. Like you can actually define at a source level, and every source will have those different types in there. So we are only limiting this particular rule to be applied on all audio source. And what's next? The next thing is I've added a condition. Which custom property should it match? Now again, it has made it flexible. You can target any particular managed property. You can see there's a humongous list of all those properties in there. And in this example, I'm going to target to the content type named item audio. As you just saw, that we just need the item audio stuff to be applied. And after that, it's asking for an action. That, okay, if I match these two things, which is the item source should be all audio, and the content type is item audio, what should I do? And we are requesting it to use the display template which we just said, which is web page, portal site item, and click on save. All right, it saved it, and the rule is sitting up here. And I'm gonna, and it on the left hand side you can see the priority as well. Priority is set to as 1. You can add multiple result sources and it'll go in that priority. So I'll go back to the site contents, my pages library, and my search page, which I just defined, and search test all, and I will edit this page, and I am going to edit this web part. And I will go in the display templates in the web part. And this I am going to say use result types. And click OK. That's it. And save it. And voila, there you go. So it has applied the display templates only to my item audio web page, not to my documents. That's it.
All right, this brings us to the last topic of today, which is query rules. And I'm really excited to show you this area of the new 2013 search. So far, what we have discussed is only showing you how to increase or enhance the look and feel and apply the display templates and what are the different result sources. But this area is more about helping user find what they are looking for. Refiners is a great way to narrow down the search results what you're looking for. But what if the refiner aren't present and you really want to drill down to a particular set of document or documents or pages and basically try and get to what you want? How to do that? Well, there is a way in as it is consistent with the previous version. 2013 also builds up on that, which is to write the site column names which you are interested in, and it will narrow down the results to it. Let's make up an example. I'm interested in Sony products which are on special at the moment. So before I start writing my search over here, I can go back to the pages library and see that what is the column name I'm interested in, which is item on special. And you can see it is storing the results over here in form of yes or no. So what that means is if I go back to my search and say brand, which is the column name, has got Sony value. So far so good. And item on special has yes in front of it. Well, there's nothing coming back, and normal user would just easily get surprised on why it isn't, because I can tell you the reason. The reason is that this is not the internal name representation of that particular column. So in order to find the internal name, I've just put up a query builder, and you can see the actual name of that item is item on special, not item on special OWS bool, not item on special. So which means that if I say item on special equal yes, it should get back results to us, isn't it? Let's try that. Well, there's still no results coming back. Now, the reason this time is that internally it's not storing yes or no, it's storing 0 or 1. So if I put 1 there, I immediately start getting the results on the Sony items which are on special. As you can see, this was quite tedious, although it does serve the purpose, but it's quite tedious to bring back the results this way and user has to remember what is the column name and how it is storing the values. That's where the query rules in SharePoint 2013 shines, and allow me to show you the power of that by saying the brand name and saying on special, just in English. Voila, there you go. And not even that, it brought up as blocks of results, something like best bet in 2010. Can you see how appealing this is to the user and how quick it was? What if I told you it's also listening, rather than putting the on special there, it's listening to another word called SPL. There you go. It's got bring the same results. If I say I only want audio results because it is currently bringing the video results as well, but I'm only interested in the audio results, I'll say audio SPL, and it's bringing me back top results from the audio page, which includes Apple, BMW, Sony, all the products which are on special on audio. Similarly, if I say video instead of the brand and whatnot, it's bringing me back all of the products to special in my video site. The query rules behind the scene is trying to understand what user is doing, acting upon it, and communicating back to the user. And it's a big ease. So what that means is that user doesn't have to remember what are the site column internal representation and how the data is being stored. All they have to do is just type in the special word or the action item which they are looking for. And I'll show you how easy it is to configure those query rules. So click on the gear icon and go on the site settings, and under the search area there's a link called query rules. I'll click on that and brings back us this manage query rules section, and over here currently it's not showing anything. It's waiting for an input from us that which results source you want to see or manage the query rules on, because you can have different query rules for every different result source. So the one which I have configured is the local SharePoint result system, and when I click on that, it refreshes the screen and brings all of the query rules which are set by me or provided by the SharePoint. So I'm interested in the query rule called QR item on special. I'll click on that. It will refresh the screen and show us the options to configure this particular query rule. On the query rule, there are three main sections where you have to input the information. First one being what is the name of the query rule. In my case, it is item on special. The second is the query conditions, and it's providing you the drop-down box. And in that drop-down box, I've selected query contains an action item. That means what are the action items which the SharePoint should listen on. And I have provided two at the moment, which the one is on special and other one is SPL. You can choose to add more action item by separating them by semicolon. And then the last area is what should SharePoint do if it encounters or sees one of those action items. In my case, I've asked it to provide two result blocks. One is providing the top audio specials result, and the other one is top video results. So let me quickly show you on what I've added in the top audio. Click on edit and it launches another screen on top, and that screen provides you capability to configure the query and configure what result source it should look into. So I am interested in the search results coming from the audio result source. And you can see here this the column name, which user now doesn't have to remember because I've added that in this query rule. Similarly, that's how I've configured the top video results. You can choose to do promoted results as well, to just bring some results at the top, or you could just change the ranking of the query. So that's it, the query rules, and I'll go back to my summary page. To summarize my session, I've discussed basically that your information architecture plays a vital role in making your search more viable and more findable. So more attention is paid at the beginning of designing all your pages library or the document library, and the content types helps you yield better results for the search. Then what I discussed about the different areas of the search, which is the result sources, the display templates, what are the result types, and lastly the query rules. So I'm sure there would be some questions, and please post your question in the chat and they will be picked up and given back to me. At the end, thank you all for coming to my session. I just lightly touched base on the search nuts and bolts. There's much more to it, but I hope this will get you started. All the best.